Merry meet and welcome to the Witch's Cauldron. My name is Paula and this is really exciting. This is the last video in the Wicca 101 series. So if you have made it this far and gone through the readings, listened in the videos, looked at the handouts and started a workbook, done the meditations that are recommended for each level, gone through the course syllabus and everything, you are now at a very important crossroads. And these steps are extremely important. And you have to do a lot of soul searching to make a decision at this point. Since you are looking at videos online, I am going to assume that most of you are solitary practitioners. And as such, you do not need a coven or a circle to quote unquote initiate you into Wicca or the craft. You can do what is called a self-dedication ritual. Now, a little bit different. Initiations are usually done with a coven or a circle or a tradition. It's done by a high priestess or a high priest. They typically meet with you. This is a very serious step. This is akin to getting rebaptized or baptized in the Christian church. Okay, that's kind of like the nearest comparison that I can give you. So this is a very important step. Unless you know in your heart that this spiritual path feels like you are home, that it fits, that this is something that you can really embrace wholeheartedly without any reservations whatsoever, then you're ready for an initiation or a self-dedication. If you cannot make that commitment that this is the right path for you, this is the path you want to follow, that you want to dedicate yourself to this path, that you have been able to reconcile previous religious teachings with this spiritual path, and you're committed to walking this path for the rest of your life. Now, if you do this through a coven, you will have very specific, training that you have to go through, etc., etc. It's going to be like going to school with the coven or the tradition or the circle, depending on how they've named themselves. But if you're a solitary practitioner, a self-dedication is a way to formalize to the divine and declare to the divine your commitment to following this path, your commitment to honor the divine, both male and female, to abide by the Wiccan rede and it harm none, do as ye will, and ascribe to that threefold law. You can do this. Okay. There are a couple of, excellent self-dedication rituals. I believe that Lisa Chamberlin gives you an example of one in the books, if I remember correctly, because it's been a little bit, been a hot minute since I read it. But also, Scott Cunningham had beautiful self dedication rituals. specifically for solitary practitioners. And Scott Cunningham is actually the one who really brought that idea of Doreen Valiente's, that you can self-dedicate and you do not need a high priestess or a high priest to allow you to follow this path. It's a big step. Part of that step is also putting behind you this identity in the mundane and learning what your magical name is. This is the name that you go by when you are actively practicing Wicca or witchcraft, whichever, you feel comfortable saying. It's the meditation is in the playlists for Wicca 101 meditations. I will link it in the description box. And only if you are 100% sure that this is the path that you want to walk, do I want you to do a self-dedication ritual, because it's a huge step. You are committing to the divine that you will now follow this path. Over the years, my path has kind of morphed into a practice, a spiritual practice that incorporates part of my upbringing. I had no clue that a lot of the things that we did that, my mother used to call, old wives' tales or, old granny tales, superstitions and things like that, was actually, American folk magic. Some of it called granny magic, the power of the grandmothers. So I had no idea that that even existed 15 years ago when I started down this path. It's my practice, my spiritual practice now is not the same that it was 15 years ago, because I have evolved as a person. I have learned and kept learning throughout this entire time to incorporate things in my spiritual practice that just feel right. That's why I am what I call an eclectic witch. It's part of this, part of this, part of this, part of this. And it's what feels good. Even my head high priestess that runs tradition of the witches circle where I trained, her spiritual path has, when I was studying with her, she primarily worked in the Egyptian pantheon. And now she is firmly into Norse heathenry. She has really embraced her Germanic background and has incorporated heathenry into her spiritual practice. She's still the head high priestess of tradition of the witches circle. She always will be. That's her, spiritual place of worship. But even if you're a high priestess, a head high priestess, head high priest, your practice is going to evolve with time. Don't be afraid to let it evolve and figure out where you are so comfortable it becomes a part of your living every day. Every breath that you take, every action you take, every thought that you have can be related back to your spiritual practice and the belief that we are all connected together. We all have access to that universal energy. We all can help heal the earth. We all can help put out positive energy. We all can, ask for the divine to send healing energy, the whole 9 yards. So don't let this just be the end of your studies. You can see, right behind me over there, I've got, bookcases full of books, and that's only part of them. Those are the ones that I look at all the time. I probably have 6 or 7 boxes downstairs of books that I have, but I don't refer to them all the time like I do these. So do not be afraid in allowing your spiritual path, if you so decide to self-dedicate to the path of Wicca or witchcraft or any of the, paganry paths. Don't ever stop learning, because there's always room. I am 54 years old and I learned something. My goal is to learn at least one thing every day that I'm alive. And it can be just something very, very mundane, like, a new method of cooking, for instance, or, researching a subject that I don't have a lot of knowledge about, something like that. Don't ever stop learning. Don't ever cut that off. Your spiritual practice should be literally second nature to you. So my charge to you is to write and perform your own self-dedication ritual if this is the path you want to follow. If it is not the path you want to follow, keep searching. Keep looking for where that fit, where your heart sings, where without a shadow of a doubt that this is the path you were meant to be on. If you can't say that, just wait, okay? So, I've challenged you to write your self-dedication ritual. I've challenged you to listen to the meditation and find out what your magical name is, okay? That would be incorporated into part of your self-dedication ritual, is declaring your name as a magical practitioner to the divine, okay? With that said, stay tuned. In the spring, I will start the Wicca 201, or the second level of Wicca classes. And those classes have a lot to do with healing not only yourself, but other people, learning about subjects like chakras, and getting further down into more advanced types of witchcraft and spellcrafting. Okay. In the next few weeks, I will be announcing the start. Be sure to look for a video. The start of a psychic development class. I've had a lot of people interested in that. I'm going to continue with doing the tarot talk classes, or videos, I should say. So, merry we did meet, merry we will part. Until we merry meet again, be well and walk in love and light, everybody. Bye.